All right, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about something that hits close to home for pretty much all of us in the digital age. What happens when just having a file on your computer, a simple string of ones and zeros, could land you in legal trouble, like criminal trouble?
I mean, think about that for a second. It's a pretty wild question, right? But believe it or not, this isn't some sci-fi scenario anymore. We're talking about a situation where you haven't done a single thing with the file. You haven't shared it, you haven't used it. Heck, you might have forgotten it's even there. But just the act of possessing it could put you on the wrong side of the law.
So what's sparking this whole conversation? Well, it's a piece of legislation coming out of Washington State, House Bill 2320. Now, on the surface, its goal is to regulate untraceable firearms. But, and this is a huge but, tucked away inside the bill is a legal mechanism that could have consequences that ripple out way, way beyond that. We're talking about something that could fundamentally change how we think about digital ownership and our privacy.
Okay, so first things first. Let's break down exactly what kind of digital data this law is going after, because it's not a physical thing, it's a very specific kind of file.
The bill coins this term Digital Firearm Manufacturing Code. So what is that? At its heart, it's just information. It's data, a blueprint, a set of instructions, a CAD file. You can think of it like a digital recipe, you know? The key thing to understand here is that the law is targeting the recipe itself, not the finished cake. It's the information they're after.
All right. And this is where things get really interesting, especially from a legal standpoint, because the bill introduces a pretty powerful and, frankly, controversial way to go after someone just for having this data.
So here's the exact language, and you got to pay close attention to this one phrase, rebuttable presumption. That's the legal jargon, but it is the absolute core of this whole issue. What it means is, if this kind of file is found on your computer, the law says the court gets to automatically presume you have criminal intent. And what does that do? Well, it flips one of the oldest, most fundamental principles of our justice system, innocent until proven guilty, completely on its head. I mean, think about that. Suddenly, the state doesn't have to prove you're guilty. You now have the job of proving you're innocent.
This little chart here really lays it out perfectly. Traditionally, the state carries the burden of proof. They have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you had criminal intent. But with this rebuttable presumption, just having the file is enough for them to assume you're a criminal. Let's use an analogy. So imagine the police find a crowbar in your car. Normally, the prosecutor would have to prove you were planning to use it for a burglary. Under this new kind of logic, the law would just presume you're a burglar simply because you own a crowbar. The burden then falls on you to prove that you're a carpenter or you just like having tools around. The mere possession of the tool, or in our case, the digital file, implies your guilt.
Okay, so now let's take a step back. Let's zoom out from this one specific bill. Because the real concern for a lot of people isn't just about this one type of code. It's about the massive legal precedent this could set for all digital information, and how that could be used well beyond the borders of Washington State.
And that really brings us to the big, scary question that privacy advocates are asking. If you can establish a legal framework that says just possessing information is enough to presume criminal intent, well, where do you draw the line? What's next? You can see how this presumed guilt model could easily be stretched to cover all sorts of data. You know, what if you have code for encryption tools? Well, maybe the law presumes you're trying to hide criminal activity. What if you download a controversial political text? Could the law presume you intend to commit sedition? Or maybe you have a tutorial on network security for a class. Does that mean you're presumed to be a hacker? The list goes on and on.
And that right there, that's the fundamental danger to digital freedom. It marks a shift away from punishing people for what they've done, for their actions, and moves us towards punishing the potential of the information they hold. It creates a world where a simple curiosity, where research, where learning could be twisted into evidence of criminal intent. That's a serious, chilling effect on speech, on research, and on innovation.
So this one bill from one state is forcing us all to have a much bigger conversation about our rights and what it even means to own data in the digital age. As more and more of our lives, our work, our hobbies, our thoughts get stored as data on hard drives, that line between possessing information and actually committing a crime is getting really blurry. This bill suggests that line is moving, and it leaves us with this huge ultimate question. Can we truly be free if the private information we keep, the data we possess, is enough on its own to presume we're guilty?